Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Advancement, and welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show. We cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, and entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a great show in store for you guys. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, this is an interesting one, right? Because it looks like as if we got some drama brewing at ESPN. Now, as you guys know, when Shannon Sharpe initially joined ESPN, he was great for ratings. I mean, he still is great for ratings, but at that time, it was like a boon for ESPN. They were just getting record numbers. I think at certain days they were bringing in 900,000 viewers, where Undisputed was struggling to get like 112,000 viewers. I mean, it was just a total, it was totally lopsided, and Shannon Sharpe played a major role in that. And if you knew anything about both Shannon and Stephen A. Smith, you knew that they were big personalities. But I personally believe that Stephen A. Smith has the bigger personality, in terms of at least the bigger ego, right? Because Stephen A. Smith now finds himself in various disputes with people like Willie D, Faison Love, and various people are kind of going back and forth with him over his O.J. Simpson comments. But this morning we came across some information here from the website athlonsports.com. And it had a pretty headliner. It says, pretty interesting headline. It says, Stephen A. Smith's behavior causing serious tension behind the scenes at First Take. And when I first read that, I'm like, Stephen A. Smith is the one causing tensions? Because that's his show. I think he's also said he's the executive producer. So for him to be the source of tension, I was very surprised about it. So I read through the article and I was like, man, this is some pretty interesting information that I think the audience would be interested in. So that's the article we want to get into right now. So the article then continues on. A different kind of drama is said to be brewing behind closed doors on ESPN's First Take. The show's headliner, Stephen A. Smith, who's used to being the one stirring the controversy, appears to be at the center of it this time around. Smith is reportedly seeking a $7 million raise on his next contract with the worldwide leader once his current deal expires by next year. According to Steve Brenner of the U.S. Sun, the uncertainty surrounding Smith's future at ESPN has created a tension-filled environment on the First Take set. Smith and his co-analyst Shannon Sharpe have created a rift between them and the rest of the show's staff, per that report. Crew members describe the current First Take atmosphere as very frustrating and on the verge of becoming an impossible situation, quote unquote. Smith and Sharpe are doing whatever they want, an anonymous First Take staffer told Brenner. Shannon had his extension deal, and it's good for him, but you can really see that they both care about their deals more than about their coworkers and colleagues. I used to enjoy going to work, but right now I wake up in the morning not wanting to go. Smith has recently given his bold predictions on Caitlin Clark and Bronny James during the recent ESPN First Take episode, but it seems as though Smith's future and the future of the show may be just as controversial. And then essentially that's what that article had to say. Now, what's interesting, the interesting wrinkle about this is the fact that they're mentioning Shannon Sharpe. That Shannon Sharpe is being included in this situation there. What are my thoughts about this report? Stephen A. Smith has never made it a secret about his views on getting paid. He has said that he wants to be paid. I think if I'm just going to take a guess, I think he wants to be the highest paid personality at ESPN, and most of us view him as the face of the network, right? So you have that situation there, but I think you're also dealing with a case where you have, again, two big egos. And when you have that going on, these are the type of things that are going to happen. Now, in terms of what some of these coworkers are saying in terms of, they're looking after their contracts and all of that, that doesn't surprise me as well, right? Shannon Sharpe has been a lot more money orientated over the last few months. I mean, Shannon has been a millionaire for God knows how long. But ever since he got with Stephen A. Smith, he's been flexing and talking a lot about his money, which is fine. If that's what you want to do, by all means, have at it. But I think that some of that has rubbed off on some of Stephen A. Smith's character has rubbed off on Shannon Sharpe. Stephen A. Smith is very arrogant, in your face. He rarely apologizes for things. That's the reason he's in that back and forth right now with Willie D and Faison Love. He can rarely say that he's wrong. And I think some of that is rubbing off on Shannon Sharpe, where they're like, they feeling themselves. You remember when Deion Sanders and his team was doing well, they were flying private all over the place. These are full blown, celebrities. And I think that got to their head, and whether it's good or bad depends on how your interpretation of it. And maybe that's also kind of spilling out onto the show, where maybe some of the crew members are like, well, this, you guys going after your money and all of that is fantastic, but what about the rest of us? And number two, what about the substance of the show? Now, what's been interesting is that Stephen A. Smith and these guys have been off for some time. I think he recently dropped the show where he said he was on break. I didn't see him on ESPN First Take yesterday, and Shannon Sharpe as well. I haven't seen Shannon Sharpe anywhere recently. Maybe they're all on break. Who knows? I know Skip Bayless and these guys have come back and all of that. But, I guess we just have to wait and see what comes of this story, if I'm being honest with you. As you guys know, Stephen A. Smith's contract is set to expire next year. I think the offer that he got was $18 million. And he's looking for a $25 million deal over 5 years. So that's what, $125 million contract. Is ESPN going to give him that money? I don't know, but Stephen A. Smith certainly believes so. And certain people believe that he does deserve that money, right? Stephen A. Smith, to be fair, has had a #1 show for God knows how long, with ESPN First Take. And say whatever you will, this show was successful. Whether you like Stephen A. Smith or not, you can't deny his impact on the network. And that really is irrelevant when it comes to him getting his dollars if that's what the market says he's worth. If the market says he's worth $25 million, that's what he's worth. I can see Stephen A. Smith being in a more contentious situation than Shannon Sharpe, because Shannon Sharpe has already kind of mastered both worlds. He's mastered the independent world and he's mastered the linear world, being on television. He already has an established voice off of ESPN, and one could make a legitimate argument that Shannon Sharpe is a bigger deal off of ESPN than he is on ESPN. He's a big deal on ESPN, but he's also a big deal off of ESPN, right? He's gotten a lot of his success off of ESPN. Now, does it help his brand? Absolutely, because it keeps him current. He's on a big show. His name is always out there. But nevertheless, I think Shannon probably will have a little bit less anxiety than Stephen A. Smith. I guess we just have to wait and see. Right? I guess we have to wait and see. Personally, I think ESPN is going to offer him the money that he wants. I think that's what they're going to do. Because if they're not going to offer him that money, what, you going to let him walk? And if you're going to let him walk, who are you going to replace him for? Shannon Sharpe? Well, we shall see. Because Shannon has a lot of projects outside of ESPN. So how is that going to work? Right? How is that going to work? But that's what the article is saying here. And we thought it was, pretty interesting information worth sharing with you guys. So the question I have for the audience, #1 is, what do you think about this report? That Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith are creating tension on the set of ESPN First Take? And #2, how do you think this thing ultimately pans out? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts in the comment section, and we catch you guys on the next show. Peace.